Sounds good. Ready when you are, Trey. Not every day you get to interrupt Delilah.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Joe Riddle, and we welcome you into Hideaway Pizza on East 96th Street, just east of Highway 169. It's the Ram Showcase with myself, Grant Merrill, and Coach Bill Blankenship, who joins us every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock right here at Hideaway. We've got two great guests that we'll talk to here in just a little while. Our McDonald's Player of the Week quarterback, Will Keeney, will join us, and Deuce Mayberry, Mr. Interception Taker.
Pick six,
yeah. Man. He's going to join us here in just a few minutes. But, Coach, have you caught your breath yet, first of all, from being down nearly double digits and coming back to win on Friday night?
Well, I tell you, it was a great weekend. You look up and you're down 17 in the third quarter, and then we hit 5 scores in the fourth quarter and come away with a victory, and just got to love every minute of that. And so happy for our players and our coaches, and just being able to get that first victory and go 1-0.
Of course, a big win over Bentonville West on Friday night out of Arkansas. They're a team that they're in their third year of existence. I mean, you've got to give them pretty big kudos for building such a strong program in year 3. And I know that they were everything as advertised, knowing what was coming out of Arkansas.
Absolutely. Brian Pratt's done a great job. Known him a long time, and he was able to start that program from the ground up. Bentonville High was like the biggest school in the state before they split,
right.
And split into two, and Bentonville West was the product of that split. But they've been not void of talent by any stretch. Had what I think is a D1 receiver, outstanding quarterback, great tailback. I mean, a really good bunch of athletes, and I think Coach Pratt does a great job with them.
I think with some of those guys, if you were still a D1 man, you'd probably be making an appointment right now.
Oh, there's no question. A lot of those guys are getting recruited, and they're already on the list, but I think there's a certainly, you look at both sides of the field, we have some good young ones as well, and a lot of potential and future college athletes that were playing out there on Friday night.
If you want to get a question into Coach Blankenship, you can do it by email, news@insideowasso.com, or we have our Facebook page set up on InsideOwasso.com's Facebook. We have a post that says, hey, we're live at Highway Pizza. Ask your questions here, and we'll take your questions throughout the night. And again, Will Keeney and Deuce Mayberry coming over to visit with us here in just a few minutes. Coach, first of all, let's talk about what you saw in your team against Bentonville West. I mean, you kind of saw the one extreme to another. I mean, down by so far during the first 3 quarters, and then a will to come back that just wouldn't go away.
Well, and I think this is pretty typical early in the season. We actually started off pretty well. Defensively, got 2 or 3 3-and-outs, got them off the field. Took us a couple of drives, but finally hit Trey Goins in the end zone to kind of break the ice, and thought that was huge to at least get a score and kind of get the momentum for this young team. And then, we allowed them to kind of get their feet on the ground and get their breath, and all of a sudden they get a couple of big scores on us. And then it seemed like the momentum really turned, and they had us on our heels there for a while.
I watched the game a little bit last night, and, they were replaying it on Cox Cable, and, of course, this week a Cox Cable game as well. So, lots of additional exposure for our kids. But, when I'm watching that Tuesday night replay, I'm thinking to myself, man, we really came back. It was like a tale of two teams.
It really was.
It wasn't even a tale of two halves. It was like the first 3 quarters and then the fourth.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think we're just trying to build that that kind of reputation, maybe where people won't leave the game early. They're going to hang around and watch these guys as they fight to the finish. And I think that's the thing for a young team that I loved, was how we just stayed in there and just kept battling. Had some of our leadership, you're going to talk to them, that made some big plays to help spark us. But once we seized the momentum, the crowd, the band, the noise that was created in that stadium really swung the momentum over to the Ram side.
I tell you, there's no place like home, and for Owasso kids, there's got to be no place like home, because we have, I've called it the best atmosphere in high school football. I mean, between Ram Alley and then just people pouring in, even after the game started. I looked down and, I had been looking at my pregame notes and kind of looked up later on as people were coming in. I'm like, just golly, the fire marshal's going to kick us all out of here if we're not careful. So.
Well, and I tell you, it's a tribute to so many people behind the scenes. Zach Duffield, our athletic director, has an army of folks that help him in a lot of different ways to put on this event. And it's a huge event. It's not just a football game. This is an event. Everything from just hundreds of band members on the field to all of the spirit squads. Like you said, the Ram Alley, that's nothing short of a college-style tailgating area. All of that, and now the huge video board, just the replays that we get, the technology that's there, and the new lighting. I mean, man, it's just unbelievable. It
is unbelievable, and we're definitely glad to have it here at Owasso. I'm telling you, there's a lot of colleges of every level that would love to have the atmosphere that Owasso does. And
we're very blessed.
We'll definitely be appreciative of that when we play our next home game against Broken Arrow, I believe, in week number 3. So, again, if you want to get on the show with us tonight, news@InsideOwasso.com is the email where you can send your email, or you can get on the InsideOwasso.com Facebook page and leave your comments here. I'm Grant Merrill along with Coach Bill Blankenship here on KYFM. Let's talk about this coming Friday night. First of all, as we start to preview the Fayetteville Purple Dogs, you're just a little familiar with that team, having taken them to a state championship in Class 7A. Your first and only year in the state of Arkansas, and much like Owasso, I'm not going to lie, Fayetteville's a special place as well.
Oh, it is absolutely a special place. The Purple Dog program has been successful for a long time. Over the last couple of decades, you take the last 12 years, and I think they've won 5 state championships, maybe it's 6. But that thing was really purring along even before I had the opportunity to get there. I was fortunate to be there for a season, and we had a great run and was able to really go out on top with a great group of seniors, and very happy about my time there and the great people I was a part of. But, got a chance to come to Owasso, and now we're creating more memories. And the irony of going back to Fayetteville now and taking this year's team in to play their team is not lost on me. It's going to be kind of weird, kind of exciting, and a real, I'm excited because we're going to get a test. This is a team that's perennial power in Northwest Arkansas, and we're going to kind of see how we match up.
One of the weirdest things for you, I'm sure, is the fact that the seniors on this team are kids you coached when you were they were sophomores.
Yeah, in fact, that's the seniors and a few of the freshmen, the juniors that were freshmen when we were there, because we brought them up at the end of the year for the playoffs. Got to know those 2 classes a little bit, and it's not like I've been there the last year and a half, but by the same token, I'm anxious to see how they've developed and the kind of players they've become.
Who are you really watching as we start to preview the Purple Dogs? Wasn't able to make breakfast with Coach B to get the huge film breakdown. Yeah.
Well, the quarterback, Darius Bowers, is an outstanding young man. He was a sophomore when I was there, and we had a great a great senior quarterback, Taylor Powell, who's at Missouri now. But Darius was in the wings waiting. Darius is tall, big, strong arm, has a big arm. And he can pull it down and run with it. They've got a little junior receiver that had over 300 yards last week up in St. Louis. And Connor Flanagan is a coach's kid. He's an outstanding athlete. He's one of those guys that just makes lots and lots of plays, and he does it, and he makes it look really easy. So those are kind of the playmakers on offense. Coleman Johnson's a guy that I got to coach. It was a defensive end, and we brought him in pass rush situations as a sophomore, and now he's kind of that anchor on their defensive line, and he and Keandre Connolly do a great job up front.
I saw some message board chatter the other day, and they were talking about, does Bill Blankenship have an advantage in this ball game because he's coached some of these kids? You know, 2 years later, here you are, and you know some of these guys pretty intimately. Does that give you an advantage?
I think the big advantage is I know how to pronounce some of their names.
Right.
You know, so
we may need you before the game to stop by. So.
I don't think there's a big advantage at all either way. I think that you could certainly make a case that there are coaches on that staff that know our offensive system and how we ran it. And so I think there's certainly bonuses both ways. You know, I think when it comes down to just the kids are going to play and they're going to have to execute it on both sides of the ball, and our coaches will coach. And I think it's just a fun game. I don't know that there'll be a marked advantage for either one of us.
We're at Hideaway Pizza. By golly, you need to stop by here tonight, even if you don't get here before the show's over, because you know, they've got some of the best pizza that you will ever eat. I know you reeled off a list of favorites last week.
Well, I can hit them every time. Well, we have them pretty regular, but the Pepperoni Palooza, that's big time. I love the Boz. I love the Hurricane, the Cimarron. You just go down the list. Those are big time for me. My wife likes the cheese, the 5 cheese or something like that.
Right.
You know, I like meat on mine though. I want to bring it strong.
Bill Blankenship can reel off a starting lineup of Hideaway Pizza toppings, much like he can reel off a starting lineup of Owasso Ram football players. So stop by and get what the coach does when you stop by here. I love their original crust pepperoni pizza, original hand-tossed crust, and I know it looks like my wife being here that we'll be having some of that tonight, so I'm excited.
Absolutely.
We are at Hideaway Pizza. Come by and join us, or if you want to get in, again, you can email your questions, news@insideowasso.com. We'll talk more with Coach Bill Blankenship, and we'll visit with 2 of our players of last week's ball game coming up after this. You're listening to the Rams Showcase and Owasso Ram football on Bright Star 100.1 KYFM.
Who you want first?
You want to get Will?
Whichever one you want first.
Yeah, that's fine.
Breaker 1-9. Yep. We welcome you back to Hideaway Pizza, 96th Street, east of Highway 169 in Owasso, the Rams Showcase radio show on with you. I'm Grant Merrill on KYFM, along with Coach Bill Blankenship, and Will Keeney, our McDonald's Player of the Week, quarterback for the Owasso Rams. I think you did everything, Will, but drive the bus home Friday night, and man, what a performance.
Sir, thank you. I mean, there were some things that we saw in the game plan that, just allowed me to go out and have a great night. And, my teammates and they did the things that could help me succeed, and we came out with a W. So that's all I can ask for.
Coach, obviously you've got a heck of a quarterback here that you inherited in your first year of the coaching for this program, and I mean, not every coach gets a Will Keeney when he rolls into Owasso.
No, that was a real blessing for us, and I think it's been a pretty good marriage. You know, I think Will's been able to benefit from being here, and we've certainly benefited from having his leadership. He came in last spring and a year ago in the spring and fought through to earn the job, and then never relinquished it. Had a great run to get us to the state championship, and now he's one of only 2 starters back on the offense, and so he's having to kind of lead in a different role this year.
Will, tell us what it was like to be back on the field for the first time and then end up leading such a heck of a performance in the fourth quarter. I mean, 5 touchdowns for the Rams, and you were responsible for a few of those.
It was awesome, you know. All summer you just wait for your first time to go back out there under the lights, and, you know, it's always, you get those jitters for your first game, and, you know, but once I was out there, kind of settled down a little bit and was able to, you know, play really good. And I think that's a lot to do with my team, you know, them allowing me, like I said, to succeed. And, you know, how many touchdowns I had doesn't really matter as long as we're just being able to go and succeed and get a W. So if it's, you know, our running back getting those touchdowns, I'm all for it. Give it to him and let him do his thing.
You know, with that team atmosphere that you guys promote so much, talk about some of the team members that really stood out to you when you're dropping back to throw and you're looking to dial somebody up. I mean, who are the ones that are the ones you can always count on?
You know, Grant's a returning veteran. He's been there. He's, you know, he gets it. He gets what we're trying to do. And then during the game, I was really proud of our young receivers. We had Chance Lucas in the slot, and then I think on the outside we had Trey Goins, who really, I think, grew up during the game, and he had those 2 deep touchdowns. I was really proud of the way he played and the way that he kind of embraced his new role as kind of a leader of the offense. And then, you know, Mario is just being able to go and have a guy that can block like he does and, you know, run a wheel route and be able to take it 70 yards to the house is awesome. So just, you know, having playmakers makes my job easier.
I know that you have probably broken down the film with Coach on the Purple Dogs of Fayetteville for this Friday night, and when you take a look at this team out of Arkansas, I mean, you're kind of special in the fact that you've gotten to see Texas high school football up close from when you lived there. You've gotten to see the best of the best here in Oklahoma, and now you get to see the best out of Arkansas coming to us as well.
Right, you know, they're a really good team, and, you know, looking at the film, we've seen lots of man-to-man coverage, so we're going to have a lot of opportunities, you know, get our receivers one-on-one and hopefully go make a play and put lots of points on the board.
The voice you are hearing, if you're just joining us, is Will Keeney. He is the starting quarterback for the Owasso Rams, our Class 6A state champion, and not to mention 1-0 Owasso Rams. I know I'm supposed to turn the page, Coach Blankenship, but we got to throw that in there every once in a while.
All right. It's okay we still have our ring. We're not afraid to wear that. We just try to stay focused on the next job at hand, and Will does a great job of that. I mean, he gets ready, and he'll be ready for the Purple Dogs on Friday, and he doesn't try to get ahead of the game too much. I'm really proud of him.
What is the most fun about leading this team?
I'm just being out there with your best friends. You know, football is one of the best things that we do, and it's you know, where I know have the most fun just going out there and playing the game that I love.
You know, as we take a look at this coming week and we take a look at the rest of the season, you know, being at home in Owasso had to be a lot of fun, but being on the road, we got a team that really travels well, and you've got a community that really supports you no matter where you are.
That's awesome, you know, having a community that's so involved, and, you know, you're on a away game and you look up in the visitor stand and it's packed. It almost feels like a home game because you got so many Ram fans there, you know. It just makes our job easier because, you know, we have the support of the community, and it kind of feeds into our energy and makes us even play kind of harder. And then, you know, having a team that travels well, I mean, it's just, that's what you want, because away is the hardest place to play. You know, you're in a tough environment, the fans are going to go loud, but we've been there, and we had to do that all last season. So we have a bunch of returning guys that have done that, and they get it. What Coach B talks a lot about, how it's a business trip, and so that's how we're going to go into the week, just focused and taking the game like a business trip.
All right. Well, Will, thank you. This is the Ask Bill Blankenship segment of our show. Do you have any questions for Coach Blankenship? You've already gone over everything this week?
He gets plenty. He gets a lot of work.
I didn't know if we could let him put you on the spot or not, while we're doing the show.
Maybe we get to the last game, he might be willing to.
There you go. All right, well, Will, thank you very much. Appreciate you dropping by. Will Keeney, starting quarterback for the Owasso Rams. We're going to come back here in just a minute, and when we do, we'll talk to Deuce Mayberry. I got to warn you, Will, there's some people intruding on your pizza over here. It's starting to disappear a little faster. So
I'm not going to be very happy if they're eating my pizza.
All right, Will, thank you. Will Keeney joining us here. We'll take another break and be back right after this. You're listening to the Rams Showcase at Owasso Ram Football on KYFM. Nothing like a little start me up to get us back out of the commercial break here at Hideaway Pizza in Owasso. I'm Grant Merrill along with Bill Blankenship and Deuce Mayberry joining us here on the Christian Brothers Coaches Quarter segment. As Deuce, I tell you, you had one of the most exciting moments of that game on Friday night. Well, first of all, you're over here laughing and nodding, Coach. What was your reaction when he got that interception and just started running back and right into the end zone, unfettered?
Well, we've seen it before. I mean, Deuce had a knack for it a year ago, and being able to get in the right place at the right time and read the quarterback. And I know that he'll add to this, but Coach Klink called the defense to take advantage of that quarterback throwing out in the flat. And I know Coach Walker was very proud to see him break on the ball and get that pick six, man.
Deuce, what were you thinking after you made that touchdown?
I was thinking, go get water because I have to go back on kickoff. Hoping I don't cramp up.
Yeah.
Well, I know that that always is a legitimate concern when you're playing at that level, and you talk about we talk about being ready for a moment, and it's guys like Deuce, coach, that are ready for any moment, and really proved it with that play, especially on Friday night.
Well, and great corners have to have what I call a short memory. They've got to be able to play. He had a very, very tough matchup. That big-time receiver, and we're going to put our best guy on him, and a guy made a couple of big-time plays, and perfect throw, perfect catch, and our coaches have, we reviewed the film. I mean, he's in great position. Sometimes those guys make that catch, and sometimes we keep them from it. But the thing I love is he's got to turn the page and be able to play the next play and the next play and the next play. And so had he gone into a funk, he wouldn't have been there to make the pick six that I think really kind of sealed the game for us.
Deuce, what have you been hearing from folks around town? I mean, I know it's going to be a lot of fun to see people in the community, and what are their comments about your play Friday night?
They keep asking me how I feel about my first touchdown in high school and how it feels to get an interception on my first game. And I tell them it feels great. And I never had a touchdown in high school, and it feels wonderful.
I didn't realize that, Deuce. I knew you had several picks, but you never got in the end zone.
Never got in the
end
zone.
All right. Well, we broke the ice. We're going to get you in there a bunch.
Yep.
Absolutely. We need a few more of those before the year's over. Hey, I tell you, if you get 4 of them, I'll just buy you and your friends all the large pizzas you want from Hideaway one night.
That'd be great.
Well, he'll do that, but he's also, we use him on offense a little bit. Got a couple of little packages for him, trying to get him the ball. Deuce has a real knack for being a playmaker, so I think you're going to see him in the end zone again real soon.
Deuce, from the defensive side of the ball, you guys are breaking down the film, and what can you tell us about Fayetteville coming up this Friday?
Oh, they pass a lot. The run game, they don't use their running game a lot, but we're just going to play man, and we're just going to match our receiver, and we're going to do great. We'll just work. We practice it every day, and the scout team helps us a lot, and it's going to be great.
Being back on the field in Owasso, I mean, we've got such a great atmosphere at home. And what did it mean to be back on your home field, and especially coming off of the state championship, having the support of your community? There's no other feeling quite like that, I'm sure.
Right. Looking in the stands and seeing everyone, it was great. I was just thinking, like, man, we won state and back to support us again so we can win another state championship.
Well, I know you take it game by game, but you got to feel good about this Friday night. And what is the biggest thing from your side of the football that you have to do to keep this momentum going?
I will just keep the intensity up and help my teammates out, call out plays, and just stay focused.
On the defensive side of the football, who are some of your teammates that you're really relying on?
I was really relying on Kiwan, my safeties, both of my safeties, and my corner on the other side, Omar Barker. And I was really relying on them to handle their job so we can win the game.
Talk about those guys individually and kind of what they'll mean to you coming up on Friday.
Dawson, he means a lot. He was my safety last year, and it was great playing with him. Our new safety, sophomore Gage, he's going to be nice. He can hit, and he can cover the ball. Kiwan is just outstanding linebacker to me. He's the #1 linebacker in the state, and he handles his job. 15 tackles in the third quarter. That was great. And Omar, his first year playing varsity, junior. He's one of my good friends, and I try to tell him to keep his head up all the time and just keep working hard.
Watching Omar, it doesn't seem like there's any first year about him. I mean,
no, and the thing that's interesting, think about that. All 4 of those guys in the back end are all underclassmen. I mean, we don't have a senior in the group, and yet I think we have a chance to be a really special secondary back there.
All right, I asked Will, anything you want to ask Coach Blankenship since we're live on the air here, and it is Ask Bill Blankenship?
When is all the coaching staffs going to get Jordans to wear out on the field?
Hey, there's a rumor to that effect, Grant. I don't know. We may be really styling all those shoes come in.
Man, when I was a kid, there was nothing like having Air Jordans. You had Air Jordans.
Yeah, when I was a kid, there was no such thing as Air Jordans.
Y'all had a heck of a Converse collection.
Yes, we did. There you go.
Anyway, well, Deuce, thank you. I appreciate you stopping by. It's always good to have you, and we're wishing you the best of luck Friday night in our ball game at Fayetteville. Can't wait to watch you do it all again.
Now, Deuce, what did you order to eat over there?
I ordered Alfredo pasta.
Ooh,
I ordered
there
a
you go.
medium pizza with pepperoni and sausage.
All right, man.
Mozzarella sticks.
Well, go enjoy it.
If you had to recommend anything from Hideaway, since you like it so much here, we were talking about this off the air. What would your favorites on the menu besides what you ordered tonight be?
My favorite on the menu would be a large hand-tossed pizza with light on the red sauce.
He's
pepperoni
ordered it
and
before.
sausage.
Very good.
Man of discriminating taste.
Absolutely.
At Hideaway Pizza. All right, Deuce,
All
we'll
right,
see you
Deuce.
Friday night. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's Deuce Mayberry joining us here on our Christian Brothers Automotive Coaches segment. Of course, we get to interview some players as well. And, well, Coach, let's talk just as before we wrap this thing up tonight. Health of the team, what are we looking like injury-wise for Friday night?
Well, the tough one we got was Kewan Hay,
Right.
our stud linebacker, will be out for a few weeks. Had a fracture in his lower leg, and so we will get him back, but it'll be a few weeks down the road. Other than that, it's kind of a wait and see for everybody else. So I think we're going to get a few of our players back. So I feel pretty good going into this matchup.
Has to be nice when you look across and see players like Deuce on the defensive
Oh,
end.
absolutely.
And, you know, when you lose a guy like Kewan, you've certainly got great players to step into that
Well, we
spot.
better have, and that's the whole idea is the team has to rally, and everybody's got to do their job. And it's been fun to see Deuce develop into being a real big-time playmaker. He was here a year ago, played as a sophomore, and I think was just a good player. Through the off season and through the training that we saw him develop himself into really, I think, one of the premier defensive backs in the whole state, if not the country. And so this is a guy that's got a chance to do some special things. He's already getting a lot of attention at the college level, but he's got his head on straight, and he's going to just continue to play well here.
I doubt they're listening because I look across and see the services going on at the Owasso First Assembly of God. But Pastor Bruce McCarty agreed to sponsor our Keys to Victory every week.
Oh, what a deal.
Coach's show and on the because, you know, you get the Keys to Victory when
There
you
you
go to church
go.
every
There
Sunday.
you go.
So what are our Keys to Victory brought to you by First Assembly of God going into Fayetteville on Friday night?
Well, I think for us, the keys will, first of all, will be traveling well. This will be our first trip as a new team. And can we get on the bus? And Will kind of mentioned it. We've got to understand there's a business trip here. We've got to be focused about it. So first of all, travel well, not be distracted by that. I think secondly, we need a fast start. I think it's really important when you travel that you got to get off the bus and get playing and not let them get on us quick. And if we do that and take care of the football, both on offense and get some turnovers on defense, so ball security both ways, I think that'll be the three keys.
All right. Well, Coach, thank you again for coming in as you do each and every Wednesday night. And I know we want to encourage people. We've got a nice collection of people here tonight, but we're here every Wednesday night from 7 to 7:30, 7:35-ish, however long we feel like going here is kind of fun. But we do want everybody to come by and ask questions of you and ask questions of our kids as well and really get to know these Owasso Rams because, that's one thing about your Rams. I'll say this to you as a coach, all of your kids are so well-spoken and well-mannered and polite. I mean, you talk to Deuce here, and, they're the kinds of kids you want your daughter dating down the road. I mean, it's just your staff does such a good job in developing these young men.
Well, and I think it says a lot about their moms and dads, too. They send them to us, and they're raising great young men, and we're going to try to work on them while we have them, too.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we will see you Friday night. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We'll see you in Fayetteville, guys.
All right. That is Bill Blankenship, the head coach of the Owasso Rams. And, of course, again, we're here at Hideaway Pizza each Wednesday night, 7 o'clock p.m. for the Rams Radio Showcase. And then don't forget, coming up on Friday night, one thing we forgot to mention, it's a 7 o'clock kickoff over in Fayetteville. So you'll want to leave, go get your Catfish Hole Hush Puppies, and then head over to Harmon Field and be there by 7 o'clock. And, of course, we'll be on the air here on KYFM on OwassoSportsNetwork.com beginning at 6:15 on Friday night with the hometown insurance agent Keith 2 countdown to kickoff. So, again, we will see you in Fayetteville on Friday night. Thanks for being with us tonight here on the Rams Showcase here on Bright Star 100.1 KYFM at OwassoSportsNetwork.com. Good night, everybody.